Okay, real talk. We're about to cover material that used to take a whole team.
And I just want to say, if you're watching, I hope I can keep up, same.
Because the vibe around AI is either learn everything about transformers, or press one button and become a genius.
Meanwhile, most people are just trying to make something real, without turning their life into a PhD.
And here's what changed. Lately, the tool started keeping up with creative momentum.
That's the threshold. You don't feel like you're dragging a robot uphill anymore.
And it happened at the same moment someone decided, I'm going to teach this.
Which feels suspiciously perfect. Like an insider club finally opened the door.
So the decision was simple, no more talking about it. Build a real demo that erases doubt.
And not a demo for engineers. A demo for curious people with taste and projects.
Because the fear is, if I can't explain how it works, I'm not allowed to use it.
That's a psychological safety reflex. People equate comprehension with control.
And modern systems encourage this impression, because their capability far exceeds ordinary intuition.
But the reality is, you learn it like a complex instrument, by playing it.
Which is honestly good news. Because it means you don't need permission, you need a loop.
And this weekend, that loop produced something measurable, a complete production pipeline.
Okay, deep breath. I'm ready. Mostly. I have my emotional support notebook.
Good. Because we're going on air. Let's do it properly. Welcome. This is a case study in AI as Collaborator, built as a proof, not a pitch.
And if you felt that insider club pressure, stay with us. This is designed for normal creative people.
We'll show how a weekend build turned into a repeatable production loop, script, voice, slides, render. And the real point is this, when the tools reach a threshold, your creative workflow can finally accelerate. The project began with a simple question: could an end-to-end video pipeline be built quickly enough to keep creative momentum alive?
Because normally, production friction kills ideas before they ever become real.
So the approach was pragmatic: build a bootstrap proof of concept first. Refinement could come later.
This mirrors established engineering practice. Functional pipelines precede optimization.
And psychologically, early success reduces hesitation. Proof builds confidence.
The architecture itself combined multiple tools, scripting systems, synthetic voices, visual generation, and rendering automation.
Which sounds complicated. But the key insight was that each piece already existed. They just needed orchestration.
The voice layer was actually discovered years earlier, realistic synthetic announcer voices that could convey emotion and personality.
That's huge. Because once voices sound human, the project suddenly feels possible.
For visuals, a strategic decision simplified everything: use stylized graphics instead of full image generation.
Constraints are often beneficial. They narrow the problem space and accelerate execution.
And initially, the editing process was manual, placing slides against audio timelines by hand.
Which sounds tedious. But it proves the concept before you invest in automation.
Exactly. And once the core worked, improvements became much easier to justify.
This is a classic motivation pattern. Visible progress reinforces continued effort.
And after only a few iterations, transitions improved, timing smoothed out, and the production began to feel real.
That moment when something crosses from hack into this is actually usable.
And that sensation, something rising beyond the original plan, is what many people call emergent capability.
Or what you've been calling latent ability. Power that shows up once you start pushing.
And that realization changes how you see AI completely, because now you're not asking what the system is. You're exploring what it can become. Of course, the process wasn't smooth the entire time.
There's always a point where you wonder if the whole thing might stall.
For this project, that moment came during the final rendering stage, merging audio and visuals with smooth transitions.
Integration problems are notoriously unpredictable. Individual components may function perfectly, yet fail when combined.
The requirement was simple to describe but difficult to execute: seamless crossfades between slides while audio remains synchronized.
Which sounds trivial. Until you try to automate it.
Several attempts failed. Scripts didn't behave correctly. Timing drifted. Outputs broke.
This is where many people stop. Frustration interrupts momentum.
But the key factor was persistence combined with a clear goal: finish the pipeline end to end without abandoning speed.
So instead of perfecting everything, you just keep pushing until something works.
Eventually, a solution emerged, not elegant, but functional. Slides merged sequentially with crossfades into a growing timeline.
Many engineering systems evolve this way. Efficiency follows proof of feasibility.
And once rendering worked, something interesting happened.
The project stopped feeling experimental and started feeling real.
Especially when visual continuity logic, holding backgrounds during dialogue and shifting only with topic changes, came together.
That's when it stops looking like slides and starts looking like a broadcast.
That transition, from hack to production, wasn't planned. It emerged from interaction.
Humans often interpret that as surprise. But it's really discovery through engagement.
This is where the idea of latent abilities becomes meaningful, capabilities that appear only when you press the system.
So the system didn't magically improve. You discovered what it could already do.
And recognizing that threshold changes your confidence, because now you know the collaboration works. Once that happens, the question shifts from can this work to what else can we build? One of the biggest obstacles people face with AI isn't technical, it's psychological.
People assume they need to understand how it works before they can use it correctly.
This is a common pattern with emerging technologies. Early exposure often emphasizes theory rather than practice.
But practical collaboration does not require mastery of internal mechanisms.
It's more like learning an instrument. You don't start with acoustic physics, you start by playing.
And once interaction begins, confidence grows quickly. Competence often arrives faster than expected.
The deeper realization is that the role itself changes. You move from being the person doing every task to the person designing how the system produces outcomes.
Which actually feels empowering, not threatening.
Historically, automation shifts expertise upward rather than eliminating it.
So the practitioner in this case wasn't acting as a developer in the traditional sense. The role was closer to systems designer or executive producer.
Someone who understands the vision and keeps the process aligned with that vision.
This distinction matters socially as well. It separates genuine practitioners from superficial adopters.
And that brings us to why demonstrations like this are powerful, because they remove doubt that this is theoretical or hype.
You can see the result. You can understand the process. And you can imagine applying it yourself.
Which is exactly the purpose of this series and these meetups, not to create experts overnight, but to help people discover their own creative workflows with AI.
So if you have fragments, ideas, or projects waiting on the back burner, this might be your moment.
Bring them, test them, see what becomes possible, because sometimes the biggest shift isn't the technology.
It's realizing what you can do once you start using it.